Welcome! So today we want to have a look at some past tenses or tenses because we've got the present perfect in here as well. So let's dive in. We'll start with the simple past. And the simple past, let me give you an example sentence, is James was tired, turned off the TV and went to bed. In German we'd say James war müde, schaltete den Fernseher aus und ging zu Bett. The things in purple are the simple past. What do we use it for? What's it? The function? We report something about past events. For example, we tell a story about the past, like the story or these events about James. Okay. Another example or another function is Stephen opened a sushi restaurant in 2015. In German, Stephen öffnete 2015 ein Sushi-Restaurant. Now, that use of or function is something has happened in the past. And we know exactly when. For example, this can be a point of time, like 2015, or a period of time from 2016 to 2020. So, for example, Stephen worked on his text from 2016 to 2020. That's the simple past. Now, let's have a look at this timeline. We've got the past, the present, the future. And at one point in time, in 2015, Stephen opened a sushi restaurant. And then at another point in time, James was tired, turned off the TV and went to bed. So all of this happened in the past at some time, and I'm telling you, and it happened, for example, in 2015. So that's the simple past. What does it look like? What's the form? We've got We've got regular verbs. We use the infinitive and add an ed. Or we've got the irregular verbs and we use the second verb form. Example, I danced, he, she, it danced, we danced, you danced, they danced. Or now irregular verbs, I thought, he, she, it thought, and we, you, they thought. Then let's move on. I did not work. We've got a negative here. He, she, it didn't work, did not is the same thing. And we, you, or they didn't work or did not work. Same thing again. And now a question. Did I forget, or did he, she, it forget, or did we forget, did you forget, did they forget? All right, now you know the form of the simple past, and now let's look at some examples. First one, I wrote a book in 2000, he didn't work, we were in China last week, did you fly by plane last year, she gave a speech, did you have your smartphone yesterday? So all of that is the simple past, probably the simplest form to talk about the past. Now, next thing is the present perfect. Let me give you an example. Stephen has opened a sushi restaurant. We are going to eat that today. In German, Stephen hat ein Sushi-Restaurant eröffnet und wir werden dort heute essen. What's the use of function of this? First, something has happened in the past, but we don't exactly care when it happened. The information is not told. So Stephen has opened a sushi restaurant. We don't know when. It just happened in the past. And nobody talks about when exactly that happened. And it's not relevant. Okay. Now, this opening of a restaurant, this has consequences for today, for the present or the future. So, but that something has consequences. Because, and the consequences are, we are going to eat that today. Okay, he has opened it, we're going to eat that today. Then another example, Jane has always wanted to go to Italy. Jane wollte schon immer nach Italien fahren. So what's use and or function here? We want to talk about something or a state that began in the past and is still relevant. Okay, at some point in the past, I thought, or Jane thought, wow, Italy is quite interesting. Why not go there? And since that point in time, or always in this case, Jane has always wanted to go there, to Italy. Good. Here we've got our timeline again. And here we've got him opening a restaurant. And it's still relevant today because we're going to eat there. Or the other example, I decided I want to go to Italy. And it has never changed since then. So I still want to go to Italy. Now, the form of the present perfect is we've got the have or has and the past participle, the third verb form. For example, I've danced, he, she, it has danced, we, you, they have danced. And negatives is I haven't worked, he, she, it hasn't worked, and we, you, they haven't worked. And questions, have I forgotten? Has he, she, or it forgotten? And have we forgotten, you forgotten, they forgotten? Okay, good. So that's the form. Let's look at some examples. I've written a book. He has never worked before. And we have been to China already. Have you ever flown by plane? And she has given 11 speeches so far. And last example, how long have you had your smartphone? Good. Now, let's contrast the simple past and the present perfect. They are both used to talk about the past. Here we've got the present perfect, over there the simple past. Example sentence, I've bought some new jeans. And the sentence in the simple past, I bought some new jeans last Monday. Let's put them on the timeline. So now I'm telling you, I've bought some new jeans, and that happened sometime in the past. It's not really relevant, or you don't have to know that. It's just I've bought them, and here they are. The other example with a simple past, in this case, I bought them last Monday. So at this point in the past, I bought them, and I'm telling you now. So this is how you can contrast them. Now, next tense is the past progressive. And the past progressive, let me give you an example. Steve was playing cards when a fire broke out. In German, Steven spielte Karten, als ein Feuer ausbrach. So, use of function. Something like playing the cards was happening or in progress when something else happened. So, let's have a look at this on the timeline. Stephen was playing cards, and this was happening, and at some point in there, a fire broke out. So a fire broke out, that's the simple past, and Stephen was playing cards, so that was happening for some time, and at one point in time, a fire broke out. Then another example or function. Let's say there's the questions, what were you doing at midnight? And you answer, I was playing with my console at midnight. In German, ich spielte mit meiner Konsole um Mitternacht. So, what's the use and or function? Some action was happening and wasn't complete. I was still playing, okay? I was still playing with my console at a special point of time in the past. So some action was happening and wasn't complete. That's important. And I'm asking you about midnight, so that's midnight. Now the form of the past progressive is was or were, and the ing form. Examples. I was dancing, he, she, it was dancing, we, you, they were dancing. Then we've got the negative forms. I wasn't working, he, she, it wasn't working, we, you, they weren't working. And questions? Was I writing? Was he, she, or it writing? And were we writing? I can't remember. Some more examples. I was writing a book when you came in. Okay, I was in the middle of the process. I was just writing and then you came in. Another example. He wasn't working when you called. So he sat there, not working, and then you called. Boom. Another example. We were traveling through China when something bad happened. So there was a long journey, we were traveling China, and boom, something bad happened. Next example is, were you flying by plane when the volcano erupted? So I'm asking, were you on the plane when this happened? Next example, she was giving a speech when someone fell off the stage. Okay, so the speech taking a long time and boom, someone falls off the stage. And were you playing with your smartphone last night? Here we've got the examples and immediately the contrast between past progressive and simple past. Let's go on. Well, here we've got the past perfect. Now, past perfect, example number 1. Stephen had opened a sushi restaurant yesterday. We went to eat there. Auf Deutsch, Stephen hatte ein Sushi-Restaurant eröffnet, schon was her, und gestern gingen wir dann dort essen. Use of function. If we tell a story in the past and we talk about 2 events that followed each other, we use the past perfect. The first event or action is in the past perfect. The second event or action is in the simple past. Let's have a look here. So, Stephen had opened his restaurant sometime in the past perfect. And then, yesterday, we went out to eat there in the simple past. First he opened it, and sometime later we went out to eat there. Both things happened in the past. And that's the past perfect. Form is had and the third verb form, past participle. Here are some examples. I had danced, he, she, it had danced, we, you, they had danced. Now the negatives, I hadn't worked, he, she, it hadn't worked, we, you, they hadn't worked. And lastly, some questions. Had I forgotten? Had he, she, it forgotten? And had we, you, they forgotten? We can't remember. So, some examples. And these examples also show the contrast between the past perfect and the simple past. So, I had written a book in 2000 and they started to sell it in 2010. Okay, first the book, then starting to sell. He hadn't worked before, you gave him a job. So, long time no work and boom, you gave him a job. We had traveled through China before we went to the US. So first China, then US. Had you flown by plane before you went to China? So I'm asking, before you went to China, had you flown before that? Next, she had given her speech before someone fell off the stage. So first the speech is finished, boom, someone falls off the stage. Next one. Had you played with a smartphone before you got your own? So question is, yesterday you got it. Before that, had you played with a smartphone? All right, now that's the past perfect. Now you've got a nice overview over those past tenses about the past, and I do hope that helped clarifying a bit. Thanks for watching, bye bye.